Okay, kiddos, we are going to look at our Henri Matisse inspired project. You should have a black piece of paper, your colored pieces of cellophane that you can look through that have all the colors that overlap so nicely and make new colors. And then you have your one plastic pocket that we are going to put everything into. It opens up kind of like that. All right, the first thing we're going to look at is this black piece of paper. It's going to be on our top. You can cut out whatever kind of shapes you want from this. Now we talked about geometric shapes, freeform shapes, so things like circles, squares, triangles, also things like blobs and clouds and paint splatter looking shapes. You could even do the outline of a living thing if you wanted. That's an organic shape. So I'm going to start by cutting at least 4 shapes. We have a whole big paper to fill, so we don't want tiny little rinky-dink little ones. I'm going to have some that are pointy. I'm going to cut, I think I'll do a square from this corner over here. Over here, I'm going to do a really long kind of noodly finger coming out here. We've practiced cutting a bunch of different shapes, so you can do whatever kind of shapes you want. You can draw them on ahead of time if you'd rather, but here are my shapes to begin with. Now, I'm going to take my lovely folder over here, my little plastic sheet. We're going to open them up. And I'm going to start to arrange. Now I want to make sure I have some at the very beginning, so I'm really going to poke into that pocket right there, and I'm going to have one, and then maybe he goes over here. I can't have him hanging off the edge, so this is the edge of my paper. I know it's hard to see because it's clear. I can't have this shape hanging over. It has to be inside, and we want to keep a little bit of a border to help really seal them in together. We can overlap shapes if we want to. I'm going to put him over here. Actually, I think I'm going to do this guy right over here. So now I've filled up, this is kind of an empty bit. I think I want to add something there. So what if we do this? That seems like too much. What if we make him way skinnier? Maybe something like this. Yeah. I like that. I think that fills up our space, right? We've got a lot of black. It fills up the different places. We don't have big empty spots, but we still left enough space for our colors to show through. So I think this is a perfect way to do our black. Now, I don't want you to do exactly these shapes. I want you to come up with your own, but you can start filling in things like this, all kinds of different shapes. When you're ready, we can move on to our color pieces. So we have a yellow piece, a green piece, a blue piece, and a red piece today. That's what I have with me. You might have slightly different colors. Same thing we did with the black. We're just gonna start cutting some shapes out of it and laying them down. They can go whatever way they want. I can have little shapes, big shapes. Now some of these are kind of curly or they're bent, so it is harder to work with them a little bit, but that's okay. And we want to practice overlapping. So if my black is overlapped with some of the yellow, like that. I'm going to cut this guy in half here so I have more pieces. I'm going to put him over here, and we'll do something like that right there. Okay? So that's my yellow. Now I'm going to look at my blue. Same thing I did before. I'm going to just start cutting some shapes out of it. There's no wrong way to cut these shapes. This is an abstract artwork, so you get to decide what you want it to look like. Now when I overlap the blue and the yellow, it makes green. And it's not super bright here, but once we laminate it together, which is the last step of this project, it will really, really stand out. So it's gonna look really cool having these two colors mixed together, overlapping. All right, we also have some actual green too, so I'm going to take a little bit of this and add that in there. We're going to put a green over here. I'm going to put some little, I also want to try cutting some smaller shapes too, so I don't all have like really big shapes. That's Sabrina. She thinks it's dinner time, but she still has 20 minutes, so you need to calm down and not interrupt the video anymore. I don't want to put it like right over here where it's already all black, because that's not going to show through so much, because you're just going to see the black. But I can do things over here where it overlaps the black and the yellow and some clear. And the last color I'm going to add is this red piece here. So again, we're going to go here. It's okay if you have some kind of weird shapes that you don't have names for. That's fine. We're going to put some over here. But we really want to fill this in. I don't want to have a lot of like clear spaces. It's okay to have some, but I really want us to practice having some nice covered areas, having things overlapping, making new colors. When I overlap the red and the yellow, what color is it going to make? Anybody out there? Orange. Yeah, it's going to make orange. So I'll put some over here so we make some orange. If I overlap this red and this blue, what color is it going to make over there? Purple. It's going to make a purple color. Exactly. All right, I'm going to put a piece over here. I think I want a little purple being made up over here. And I actually think I want a little bit more blue, so I'm going to bring some blue back over here. Oh, that's not where I want you. I want you right there. Again, I got to be careful, make sure that all my pieces have a nice little edge here. About the width, like your pinky nail from the edge is a good idea. And then if I think this is good enough, and this is what I want it to look like, I want to add a couple more. I'm not done yet. We're going to add one over here, right there. And one more blue one right here. Then I can very carefully roll this guy close without sticking the other pieces. Very carefully roll so I don't get anything moved. These are going to try to like stick to the paper and move a little bit, so we've got to go nice and slow, very carefully. I can see like my green on both sides over here moved a little too close, so I just peel up the edge a little bit, push that guy back in there. Peel up this guy over here. Maybe push him back in here. Okay. And if this is how I like it, this is how I do it. Now, if there's parts you go, I don't like this at all, then you just go back and add some more stuff. You figure it out until you like it the way you want it. So like over here, I think I want to add a little bit of, oh, Sabrina's on the table. She might be making a visit. Here she comes. There she goes. Yeah. This is Sabrina. For any of you who didn't believe me, I do really have a cat. She likes this project a lot. So I think we're going to leave it here. Now, at this point, we have to get it laminated. To laminate it, there's a special machine called a laminator. It does get really hot, which means I have to laminate it for you. Please don't eat my plastic sheets. I have to laminate it for you. Sabrina can't do it for you either. And that means you have to bring your project to me very carefully so we don't accidentally drop stuff. And then we'll also put a little tag on it with your name so that we know whose is whose. So if you get to this point where you've got everything the way you like it, you're gonna have to come bring it over to me and laminate it. So I'm gonna pause the video, laminate it, and then, there's a little tail here, and then I'll show you the final result. Surprise! I decided to actually be more fun to show you this process. Now, my laminator at home is a little bit different than the one at school. The one at school is a little smaller, but it's the exact same process. So you're gonna hand your project over to me. I'm going to feed it in this one side over here. They're a little roller, so I just have to hold it and make sure it doesn't droop and your pieces don't move. And it'll slowly pull it through the machine. It does smell a little bit like plasticky, like burning plastic, because it's actually melting the plastic, and it will come out a little bit hot, so we'll have to be careful for a second or two, but it cools down very quickly. You can start seeing what it looks like. And then eventually I don't even have to hold this side anymore. And I went and got a white piece of paper because that's the best way to photograph these, is to put it up against something white. It makes it the easiest to see. And it's almost done. You can see this part's already cool enough to hold. And we'll pull this guy out of the way. Now again, this is hot, so only I touch that. But your project now looks a little something like this. Bring it up a little closer. So it's nice and shiny plastic. You've got all the color blending, nice bright vivid colors. And this we will hang up in the window for our stained glass Matisse project.